In March of 2021, Ronald D. Rookstool passed away. My grandfather and a firefighter/EMT for 29 years while my mother was growing up. For downtown Omaha Station 1. He was a bit of a jerk, but loved horses and left his job along with his family. However, he suffered from severe PTSD from the line of work. Sadly, a very common thing for firefighters. He was a farrier for a long time, spending most of his off time with animals or with his family. He enjoyed saving people, and even though he was a bit of a jerk to people, he will be missed. He saved many lives, and it's sad how later in life, he was just seen as a grumpy old man who just hated life. He owned his own ferrying and blacksmithing company. He was my inspiration to make this essay. Firefighting and EMT work is one of the most risky, underpaid jobs. Not many people actually know how dangerous it really is. They believe you can just dump water on a fire and it's over. Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that. In recent decades, there have been many new safety features to make the job safer, along with discovering what happens to you when you breathe in smoke from fires. Some of the chemicals included in fire smoke can be aldehydes, acid gases, cyanide, and benzenes. All very toxic to the human body and possibly even fatal. Firefighters would go into these burning buildings with no air tanks, causing damage to their lungs. Not to mention they would go into fires with flammable clothing on. The Western firefighting is completely different from the rest of the United States, as the climate is unpredictable at times. There hasn't always been a fire union, per se. There was once a bunch of different companies that would physically fight over fighting fires. Now, there's still many companies, but they all have to follow the same rules and work together. No more fighting over fires. If they don't follow it, they get in quite a bit of trouble, possibly even have to leave the union. Smoke and disease put firefighters at risk. However, transportation to the fires was quite dangerous as well. Trucks were originally horse-drawn carriages that had to have horses be encouraged by dogs to move faster. They were trained to open their stalls as soon as they heard alarms go off. When fire trucks did begin to be in use in 1913, they were quite expensive and hard to run. Only big cities would have them. Small towns would have carriages to get to the fire. When flying became more popular, so did airports. What did airports need? Fire crews. Fire crews had to wear specialized suits called proximity suits. These suits were made for strong fires like chemical or fuel fires. They were either made of asbestos or, nowadays, aluminized material. Don't breathe in asbestos or eat asbestos, kids. It's very bad for you. Many airports still use it. Actually, they all are required to use it. Colorado is unique as we have an air tanker base. Air tankers are also known as ARFFs, or Air Rescue and Firefighting, are a line of firefighters that fly over top of fires, dropping retardant. Another unique factor is that we have a specialized crew of life flights, a specialized group of helicopters that are meant for transporting those severely injured or organs to their recipients. Safety equipment has improved greatly, whether it's the Geiger counter to make sure the area isn't radioactive, or the air filtration to make sure deadly smoke doesn't get in the lungs. In the old days, they would coat the inside of their mask with water to prevent any harmful gases from getting into their lungs. That didn't go so well. It would cause cancer. They figured out pretty fast that the gas masks used in World War I worked quite great. They also figured out that using meltable plastic for helmets was kind of a bad idea and switched to metal or hard-to-melt fiberglass. They also figured out that having buckets full of water wasn't the greatest idea, as they would need to be refilled during fires. So, hoses were used to transport water to the fires to put them out easier. I decided to interview my mother, as she was the daughter of a firefighter, so she kind of knows what she's talking about.
Question one. What was the most dangerous thing Grandpa faced?
There was a fire in Omaha it was a grain silo that caught fire. and I don't remember how many days it took them to fight the fire, but the guys pretty much worked 24 hours straight, and then they traded off to the next shift.
Oh, wow.
It was a huge fire, and grain silos are very explosive. So and Grandpa was also one of the firefighters that would climb up on the roof and break the hole in the ceiling to vent it. So that was always a very dangerous job that he had. And he was also an EMT, so he came across a lot of scary stuff doing that.
I bet. All right. Okay, question 2. Gonna come closer. What do you think needs most improvement on, like air filtrations or building?
I think sprinkler systems, but yeah, definitely air filtration. I don't know. I mean, they've done so many improvements these days with everything. So
Sprinklers.
yeah. Well, we have a building just down the block that kept getting caught on fire because they didn't have sprinkler systems. So, I mean, it should be a norm in every building, and more awareness with everybody that works in a building on where to find fire extinguishers and the fire exits and stuff. They don't seem to do that much anymore.
All right. Okay. What do you think is the most dangerous weather for fires to break out in?
Definitely windy weather. Lightning strikes, anything that with lightning. I used to think when I was growing up, that ice storms or really, really cold winter days was the worst. But my dad, Dream's grandpa, used to talk about how it was when they were really hot because their uniforms, the outfits they would wear would get coated with ice from the fire hoses. And the guys would have to break each other's elbows and arms on their jackets and hands with the axe handle because it was so stiff they couldn't move anymore. Oh, but it built this huge layer of ice, so they would start sweating inside, and they couldn't cool off even though it was 0 degrees outside. But definitely windy days.
Like today.
I would say those are some of the worst.
And last question, what do you think smoke does to the body?
It causes all kinds of problems. Grandpa Root Boys, he got sent to the hospital numerous times with smoke inhalation. He suffered with a lot of lung problems as he got older due to the smoke inhalation. It makes it hard to breathe when you're in that situation. You can't catch your breath, and it just makes you feel really lightheaded and stuff. And yeah, I remember numerous times Grandpa would get sent home because of smoke inhalation. Back then, their masks weren't as good as they are now, so it was pretty scary. And it affects your eyes. You can't see right because your eyes are watering because of trying to cough and clear your lungs. So it messes with your whole body.
It's a really hard job to do. Going into extremely hot, burning buildings where you could just die any minute. It's just a risk that firefighters are willing to take on a daily basis. Without these safety features, many of the cities we would live in would, be burned down. Forest fires, just as deadly as house fires. Respect your local fire department. They deserve far more than you think. Firefighting has come a long way, and it is much safer than it once was. Special thanks to the Denver Firefighting Museum for allowing me to film and take photos inside of their location. This meant a lot to me. If you are interested in helping fallen firefighters' families pay for funeral costs, follow the link that is on the screen now. It'll lead you to a donation page to do just that.